Okay, this is it. This is it. Come on, tell me. This is it. This is it. This is it. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. Finally. Finally, they're going to make the right choice. America's going to make the right choice.
CNN projects Joseph R. Biden Jr. is elected the 46th president of the United States, winning the White House and denying President Trump a second term. We're able to make this projection because CNN projects Biden wins Pennsylvania, the former vice president, in his third run for the highest office.
Hey gang, remember, we're doing that now, gang. Check this out, new project here in the garage, and this one does not belong to me. This belongs to my buddy Brandon. I believe it is, I don't know, 99 to 04 Mustang GT. And this one, unlike every other Ford that came in here, brace yourselves, okay? It's so hard to look at. Jesus, what is that? This is what 750 horsepower of 2-valve power looks like. That's right, this thing actually makes decent power. It's got an on-3 turbo kit, not sure the turbo size. This car actually came in here running, which is an extreme rarity around here that somebody actually brings me a car that runs and drives. But we got a whole gang of upgrades to throw on this thing to get Brandon ready for the track. It's got a sick 6-point cage in here, swing out door bars, some beautiful fabrication on here. My buddy Eric Gold did this. Right now, it's completely stock underpinnings. It's got some upgraded shocks in the back, and then he put 03, 04 Cobra brakes on the thing. But as you can see, we got a whole bunch of boxes over here from the homies at Bear. Shout out to those guys. Make these bitchin' brakes. And that's exactly what we're gonna be putting on this car. And also, shout out to you, Viking. We're going to be putting a full set of Viking Crusader shocks and struts, coilover ones on the front, regular standard ones on the back. And then this, I want to say like, this may look familiar, but it probably doesn't because you don't see much of it. This is the old 8.8 built rear end out of Killface. When we put the Curry rear end in the thing, Brandon bought this rear axle from me, and it's been sitting on jack stands ever since. So this is a 31 splines, spool, 355 gear, solid upper control arm bushings, instant center brackets. It's already got the same provisions that I have on my car for the anti-roll bar. So we got a UPR anti-roll bar that we're gonna put in here. I'm gonna start tearing this thing apart last night, and I'm gonna go ahead and continue on that today. Hopefully everything in that, can you see that? Hopefully everything in that nest is dead. So this car's been sitting outside for a little bit while it's been waiting to go under the knife. We're gonna get rid of these old scummy Edelbrock shocks and just make a bunch of key upgrades all around. And one last and final upgrade, we're gonna do a third pedal delete kit. This thing has a 5-speed in the thing right now, and the clutch is a little worse for wear. We have this full manual valve body 4R70 transmission. It's got lockup, overdrive. It's got a converter from Circle D, drive shaft, shop drive shaft. It's a complete bolt-in kit. It came out of an already running car with a similar combination. So this thing should all just kind of drop together. The only complications I think I'm gonna have is wiring in the transmission. So let's get to it. So what I'm working on right now is the front coilover conversion. The previous coilovers that are in the car are right here, but the problem with them was it's got factory caster camber plates on it, and these are not really rated to support the weight of the car. If you think about on a factory Mustang, the spring mounts here on the control arm and is supported by the K-member. So all the weight is supported right here, not to the top of the strut, the shock tower here. So these factory plates right here, they're not that great. I actually run them on my car. I kind of made this, I modified them a little bit, but what'll end up happening is it warps the flanges and smashes the bushing. So we hit up UPR, we have a set of caster camber plates that are designed to support the weight of coilovers. Those are on the way to get these things mounted in here properly. Right now, I got the strut just kind of mocked in here, but I did that so I can start putting the brakes on. Another thing you have to do is you got to drill out and knock out the backing plate. Very simple, drill the rivets out, and then just punch the things off and rip them, and then throw it over there in the scrap pile where it belongs. But you can see this old 03, 04 Cobra brake rotor. Pay attention to the wear pattern on here. This thing isn't even using this inside 1.5 inches, and it's only got a 2-piston caliper. The bare deep stage kit comes with these 11-inch rotors. It's a 2-piece design, so this is an aluminum hat. It is substantially lighter than the stock, all, I don't know, the iron, steel, whatever, rotor. And it has this bitchin' 4-piston caliper finished in this sick candy fire red, whatever you want to call it. These will clear 15-inch brakes on the front and the rear. The only thing you gotta kind of pay particular attention to is how wide this thing is, because this can actually get a little close to the spokes on some wheels, depending on whatever your offset is. The procedure is very simple. Same thing on the back. I already had them on this car, so they give you the brackets, and it's a dual bracket, so if you want to upgrade later to dual calipers on the rear, you have that option. These are already put together because this axle had these brakes on it when it was in my car, so the rear end is going to be simple to do. That's pretty much it. Let's get into it. All right, there you go. That's easy. That's the front, done. It's a simple, very, very simple bolt-on affair. I'm pretty sure that this, I don't know if that'll bolt onto that or not. I think we may have to get brake lines. Let's see. I don't believe, oh, wait. Is it the same thread pitch?
I don't believe that's the same.
All different footing. So yeah, we gotta get some brake lines. NBD, bro. Sucks because they're already braided, but that one's kind of got a kink in it, so it'll probably be wise to change it. I am sweating profusely. Woo! All right, on to the backs. Do you have any idea how long it's been since I worked on a car that had tailpipes? Ah, God, that's really in there. I'll be back. Pro tip, I don't know if, maybe not everybody knows this. Check it out. There's some bullshit company on Facebook that I saw selling this thing called a knuckle buddy, which is something to help you like make a breaker bar out of your wrench, but literally get another wrench of similar size and just do that. And then with one hand, you can punch the jack stand with your bicep and probably hurt yourself, but it will break loose any bolts. Ford guys, if you're paying attention, you see this big thing right here? It's commonly referred to as a dog bone. This is for noise, vibration, and harshness. Take this off and throw it in the trash. It's about 10 pounds of useless weight, much like Logan's brain. Don't lose these, because you can't find these at a hardware store. This is an aluminum drive shaft. Somebody paid good money for this. Too bad we're not going to use it. Bing. Here's a knuckle buster again. Why are they so tight? Yes, baby. I hurt my knuckles. Oh, I completely forgot I have to drop. Oh, it's a turbo car. So, as I alluded to earlier, it's been a very long time since I worked on a car with a full exhaust, but the sick part about this, because it's a turbo car, it only has one. So all I'm gonna have to do is unhook the wires for the QuickTime cutout, unbolt the hanger, and then undo that V-band, and then this whole midsection right here should come off, allowing me to get the transmission in and out, and then the catback can stay up here. The only concern I have is that with this anti-roll bar, so hopefully he got the one that allows you to retain the tailpipes if he's really about this life with these MagnaFlow mufflers, but we'll see. Anyway, drive shaft's out.
One winner later.
Are we rolling? We're rolling. Okay, a few days later and a few days more progress. As you can see, I got the rear end dropped out of here. Still gotta knock out the lower control arms. And I got into a discussion with the owner about what we're going to do. So when you start making big power in a Mustang or Fox body, SN95, New Edge, Fairmonts, Mercury, Zephyr, whatever. So 78 to 04, this style chassis pretty much all has the same underpinnings. So even your
Holy Grail, all exalted of 304 Cobra.
More beautiful than I'd ever imagined.
is the exact same piece of underneath of it as a 1978 Ford Fairmont. Sorry to discourage all you Cobras out there, but reality hurts, so suck it. What tends to happen when you launch a car really, really hard, it sits in the car like this, and the axle tries to go like this. That's your axle wrap. So when that happens, your upper control arm mounts right here tend to try to pull backwards, and the bottom ones try to push forward. The upper right here is the most common. On here, you're talking about a cast iron axle, ear, it's like, that's not going anywhere. But on the car, on the chassis side of it, it's nothing but stamped steel that's been spot welded in a variety of locations. What can happen when you dead hook a car with high horsepower, like this one, it will rip those torque boxes away from the chassis over time. And they're a bitch to repair, so you want to get ahead of the curve. And the way you do that is twofold. One, you can do what I did on this car, which is a little bit of preemptive maintenance, and get in there with a welder and just fully weld them. They're just spot welded on there, so if you go through and weld it all in there, and then you can do some like reinforcement around the bolt holes, because it is very thin sheet metal, that should prevent that from occurring. The second choice is to install a set of battle boxes, which is what they're commonly referred to. I think battle box is actually a name brand. Name of the company actually escapes me right now, but they're torque box reinforcements. They put thick pieces of plate steel and these bolts and sleeves, and you drill some holes through the car, and it sandwiches the upper torque box mount with the inside of the car and reinforces everything. And you can even go a step further and fully weld them. Or if you're like serious race car, stock location, stock-ish suspension kind of guy, you can actually cut out the entire torque box assembly and weld in a whole new like tubular thing. So what we're gonna do on this one, I gotta get underneath here, inspect a little bit, and see how much of a pain in the ass it's gonna be to clean this thing up to weld it. The downside of welding upside down is all the sparks like rain down on you and your face and stuff like that. But it'll be a cheaper route if you have access to it and you're not, well, paying me to do it. But the downside for both of those is the entirety of the back seat assembly has to come out. If I'm gonna weld it, I may end up setting the back seats on fire, so you wanna take those out. If you're gonna install the battle box reinforcements, you gotta take the back seats out because you can't get in there to bolt them in. So we're in somewhat of a pickle. Whew! This car is rough underneath. And by rough, I mean it's a little scuzzy. So there's the old control arms. They've seen better days. Got rid of some other useless bits. The bare brakes will not allow the retention of the e-brakes, so when I pull the back seats out, the e-brake cable is going to come off, as well as the ABS harnesses. Pinion snubber is no longer needed anymore. Underneath here, this looks like a scary movie. Like, what was that noise? Did you guys hear that noise? It's mold. It's got black braided lines all the way up, and this return line is mold. How? I don't know how. This makes me wish I had a lift just so I could put it up in the air and thoroughly hose this thing off with a pressure washer underneath. Unfortunately, I do not have that luxury. I'm just gonna come in here with some simple green, some water, and get all this scuzz. And this is what I was talking about. So you can drill through and bolt through here to the floor of the car to reinforce this, but you can see how these can be easily ripped off. This is the upper control arm mount, and you can tell when you launch the car, it's gonna pull it towards the rear, and it's just a few spot welds here and there. So what we do is you come in here, just a MIG welder, fully weld these all the way around here, around the perimeter, and then inside here. It's a lot of work just to clean up. It's pretty quick to weld. So, and if you crank the heat up, you can pretty much burn through anything in there. The lowers, I'll probably just knock out and do the same thing, just weld them right here. The lowers usually don't rip out because when you launch the car, the force is going towards the front, but you don't want them to collapse. I think the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put the caster camber plates on, and then I'll take a break from laying underneath here. All right, as I showed you guys initially in the video how to put the brakes on this bad piece right here, we're gonna do the rear brakes in the next installment. The front Viking Crusader struts are completely installed on this, and the only thing I was waiting on were these caster camber plates. These are the billet aluminum ones from UPR, very simple to install. I got this side done. They replaced these rusty, scuzzy, crappy, non-adjustable ones. On this car, what you can see somebody did in order to adjust the caster and camber, they elongated the factory holes underneath here to allow this to slide around. So that could prove a little bit interesting when it comes time to align this car, but you got 3 bolts here that if you tighten these down the proper way, they will actually retain this and hold your alignment in place. And this is what the kit comes with right here. This goes underneath the strut. So those are the studs you see right here. And then you get this bitchin' UPR billet aluminum top plate with the, I guess, what do you call this? The captured bearing. The bearing kind of swivels around a little bit as your strut goes. And you get this sleeve right here goes underneath. It will come up here, give you the space to make sure that the strut does not interfere with the underside of the shock tower. And then you get a stay. You get a variety of spacers. By variety, I mean 2 to allow you to have enough. You just pick the one that allows you to have enough engagement to make sure that the top of the strut, the threaded portion, actually goes all the way through the lock nut portion. If you put it together and it looks like that, then the threads are not locking and engaging into the nylon of the lock nut, and that is not going to stay where it needs to. So I got one more side to do on this car, and we're gonna wrap the video up right there. Shout out to UPR. I know Logan worked with them on the notchback product. They make some bitchin' products, and I'm stoked to have put them on this car. I'm gonna clean up this mess and start the long, arduous process of, I'm probably just gonna bleach the whole underside of this car. Anyway, that's it for now. Head over to clapped.com/store, pick up some merch. We got t-shirts up there still. New stickers will be coming up there in a couple weeks. I just placed an order to restock and replenish, as well as some new designs. And that's it. Welcome to the show.